Hello, welcome to Grid Live Pre-Race. Joe Samaniego here on the road this weekend. Got a lot to talk about this weekend because it's the big race weekend for the Repco Supercar Series, the Bathurst 1000, plus the NASCAR Cup Series at the Charlotte ROVAL, another playoff elimination race. A big thank you to our Patreon investors, Colin, Michelle, Mark, Robin, David, and Matthew for investing in the Grid Network each and every month, helping us stay on the air. We're very much planning for 2025 already. We're just about halfway through the month of October. We got the month of November left. December, things slow down as all the racing season slows down. But then January, we're going to be ready to go again. So let's get started with the big race, the Repco Supercar Series, the Bathurst 1000. This is the big race that they talk about all year long. This is the race everybody waits for all year long in Australia on Mount Panorama, and this is it. And it's a big one for everybody because you win this race, you're going to go down as winning the biggest race of the year, regardless of what happens with the championship. Championship right now, of course, Will Brown leads the standings, so he's looking very much poised to gain that championship because after this race weekend, you only got 2 race weekends, 4 races total because they're both double headers. And for Brodie Kostecki, the end of his championship reign, but he starts this weekend on the pole for the race. What a lap in the shootout for the pole. If you have not watched the Repco Supercar Series shootout for the pole at Mount Panorama, you are missing out on some of the best motorsports action. I compare this to Monaco qualifying when you have hot lap after hot lap. In this case, lap after lap of drivers pushing the limits at Mount Panorama from Skyline, all the famous corners. And Brodie Kostecki got the job done. We didn't see a lap time under 2 minutes and 3 seconds, but we saw each and every driver pushing it really hard, very excited, and Brodie Kostecki has to be feeling really good. Considering where he was at the start of this season, he was not even on the grid. There was concerns he was not even going to race at all. Airbus Racing had no sponsors. Now they have sponsors. Brodie Kostecki is back in the vehicle. He's had some good races here and there. He would love to just put everything about 2024 behind him, go out there and get the win at the Bathurst 1000. This will be a huge statement if he can get that win and just try to put everything for next year, 2025. Brodie Kostecki, he is a driver you cannot ignore. And of course, Brodie Kostecki, he's going to be on the pole, but don't forget, in the Bathurst 1000, everyone has a co-driver. This is such a long race. If you all watched this from way beyond, you remember 2014, 10 years ago, 8 hours. Came down to the last lap with a last lap pass. Brodie Kostecki, Todd Hazelwood is his co-driver and the number 1 Chiku Chevrolet. I am very excited to see what these two can do, but not far behind them in 3rd place, you have Brock Feeney and Jamie Whincup. They are starting 3rd place. And I think this is the favorite to go out there and win the Bathurst 1000. Jamie Whincup, if you follow Supercars, you know who he is. For those that are not familiar, one of the best all times when it comes to supercar racing. He could have had more wins here. Just sometimes, like the 2014 finish, it just slipped out of his hands. He is very much one of the best in the mountain. Brock Feeney, he wants to go and get this race win. He would love to get this trophy at Mount Panorama, get that big win, and close the gap on his teammate Will Brown, who is starting 5th with co-driver Scott Pye. This team, they're very likely to get a win. Same equipment as Brock Feeney. They're going to be fast. They're going to be a contender. What has to be sort of the question mark with this team with Will Brown, Scott Pye? Scott Pye's performance. If you were watching this week, the practice session, the qualifying session, Scott Pye wrecked that car. They had to work hard to get it repaired. They did. Will Brown still managed to put it up in the top 5. The question is, can any of the repairs come undone during the race? Could there be a reliability issue? Can Scott Pye deliver the performance he needs to do? Because if Scott Pye's in the car, you're going to have Jamie Whincup in the car. You're going to have other co-drivers in the car. Which co-driver is going to be the best driver out there on the track? I think Scott Pye might be feeling a little bit of pressure with this race because he knows this could be a big championship moment or Will Brown. Will Brown, even if he gets a podium, that's going to help him with the championship effort because then it's just 4 races remaining. Maintain that lead. You can almost, at a point, enter the last race weekend with the championship clinch. So I'm going to be really interested to see how Will Brown, Oscar Pye are going to handle the Supercar Series Bathurst 1000 tonight. Of course, it's 8 p.m. Eastern, earlier in the West Coast, but it'll be Sunday at Australia when this race takes place. And of course, this race, very wild at times. You've been following us on social media at Grid Network TV. You've been seeing throughout the week, we've been posting some of the best, most memorable moments, from crazy finishes to some of the most bizarre moments. One of them when Echidna got onto the track, caused a caution, and then that just brought the race into full chaos when we had caution after caution after caution. This race could be a caution fest because if anything we saw from the practice sessions, we saw some big hard hits. As I mentioned, Scott in that Triple Eight car, he crashed during one of the practice sessions. Will Davidson in that number 17 Ford Shell, huge crash, 58 Gs, clear to race. That team had to work so hard to get everything back ready for the race. And of course, David Reynolds, he had a huge crash. That team spent all night long working to repair that car. He's going to have a little bit of a tricky race. David Reynolds, in qualifying, because of the repairs and everything, missed out on track time. He's going to have some work to go from the back of the field at 21st up towards the front. Will Davison, as I mentioned, his team had to work on that car, a lot of repairs. He is starting back in the 16th place. So those two are going to have a lot of work to do. But the big thing, as I anticipate, we could be seeing caution after caution. Just try to break the race down between the safety car periods. During the safety car periods, great opportunity to revolve your strategy about when those safety car periods come out, make your pit stop, adjust your strategy, and work your way towards the front. This is the Bathurst 1000. This is not a sprint race. This is an endurance race. This is the biggest race of the year. You got plenty of time if you have a fast car to work your way from the back to the front. You just got to be taking care of that car, taking care of the tires, because what we've seen in the practice sessions and everyone just pushing it really hard, that was all about. But when it comes to the race, it comes down to taking care of your equipment. This is the crown jewel of the Repco Supercar Series. In the chat room, Adam says the Bathurst 1000 is like the Daytona 500, Indy 500, Monaco Grand Prix. It stops a country. Fans come from across Australia to descend on Mount Panorama. I would even add internationally too. Supercar Series has been growing. I mean, look at the drivers that have won this race and come to the United States. Shane Van Gisbergen, he's now in NASCAR. Scott McLaughlin, he held off Shane Van Gisbergen in 2019. He's an IndyCar. This race has some of the best drivers out there. I think it is a huge shame that so many motorsports fans overlook the Supercar Series. The time zones doesn't help unless you're in Alaska, the West Coast, where you can stay up Saturday night, Friday night, watch the races comfortably. Europe, time zones is even more complicated if you're trying to watch the Supercar Series. But when you watch those races, the fact that they're driving stock cars on circuits such as street courses, permanent road courses, and in this case, Mount Panorama, racing up a hill, a steep hill, mountain they call, down. This is some great action, and I just love the scenes of seeing the cars up in the air, coming down the hill, blocking each other, just going left, right. This is such a phenomenal track. It just all adds to the spectacle of a race. Bathurst 1000, I cannot wait for that tonight. As I mentioned, though, there's going to be some crashes. If we saw anything from Davison, Pye, Reynolds, one simple mistake, especially as you're exiting Skyline, you could be in a big crash, you're going to hurt your car, and you're going to be done for the day. Now, let's not forget, you're racing against other people, too. We've seen crashes where another driver screws up, takes out 2 or 3 cars. So this is going to be something everybody's going to be watching for. And that's why I think when it comes down to it, when you look at the favorites to win, you're looking at Brodie Kostecki. He has to be one of the favorites. Brock Feeney, especially with Jamie Whincup as his co-driver, those are another 2. The third one I'm looking at, a driver that has won here before, especially in 2014, Chaz Mostert. He could have tried to get to the pole. He did not this year. But I think he still has a very fast car for the Bathurst 1000. There's nothing wrong with not claiming the pole. You're just holding back a little bit something because you want to show that in the race and come up through the field. This is a great opportunity for Chaz Mostert to do that. I think Chaz Mostert has to be one of the drivers you got to look at as a potential winner here at the Bathurst 1000. And of course, everyone trying to watch the Bathurst 1000, you can sign up for SuperView, depending on where you are, YouTube as well. Plenty of opportunity to watch this race. There's going to be one supercar race you're going to be watching this year. This is the race, the Bathurst 1000. There's nothing else like it. The fact that they're going to have to switch drivers, to switch back, this just makes driving such a challenge in this race. The track is such a challenge. The elements, the distance, 1,000. No other race like this in the Supercar Series. We know NASCAR, for example, their longest race is 600-mile Coca-Cola 600. That's 100 miles more. There's nothing like what you're seeing in supercars where you have the Adelaide 500, and then your next longest race is the Bathurst 1000. Phenomenal race. Highly recommend you watch it. You cannot miss this great event, the Bathurst 1000 for the Repco Supercar Series tonight for everyone on the East Coast, West Coast, and of course Sunday, depending on your time zone, especially in Australia. Now let's go to a race that's going to take place tomorrow on the East Coast at Charlotte Motor Speedway. The Bank of America ROVAL race, next elimination race in the playoffs. And for 4 drivers, their playoff opportunity in the championship is going to come down to it and after this race has concluded. You're wondering, who are the favorites? Well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't think there are huge favorites for this race weekend because the ROVAL has a brand new layout. You now got a horrible hairpin corner entering back into the speedway. I call it horrible because I'm just anticipating you're going to have one car get sideways, collect 2 or 3 vehicles, and then it's going to block up the track. They have made that final chicane much more tricky. Some drivers are comparing it to a street course, the ROVAL race. There's a point where you're making a track to be challenging and then making a track to just be difficult, where you're just wanting to see mayhem action. That's why I feel these people at the ROVAL have been doing. They've just been working on making this track such a challenge that you know we're going to see full coach cautions besides the staging. I would be shocked, 100% shocked, if the first stage goes caution free, because there's just no way I don't see that occurring. I think you're going to have caution after caution after caution in this race. So you're going to have all the cautions. Where's the best place to be? Well, clearly up front. Qualifying is going to be very huge, very big, important role today. Some of the drivers I'm looking at are some of the past winners of this race. Let's start in the playoffs. Ryan Blaney, he won the first one at the ROVAL. If he could have a fast qualifying effort, a car set up well, he could be up towards the front. Chase Elliott hasn't been doing much this year. He got a win. He got into playoffs. He needs some good points. As you can see, plus 13. That is borderline comfortable. If you have a driver below him, like Joey Logano, get a stage win, and Chase Elliott did not score any points, that's only now plus 3. It could really spiral out of control. Chase Elliott, I don't think he'll cave in the pressure. I think he's going to have a wonderful day up towards the front. That's why I anticipate Chase Elliott in qualifying. Kyle Larson, he could easily get a good pole here. I think he's going to be, without a doubt, in my opinion, a safe top 10 starting position in the ROVAL race. And Kyle Larson, he is very comfortably up there. He can just focus on being up front and just go for the win. Try to claim more playoff points because the round of 8 is going to be really difficult. He cannot have a bad race like he has done so in the playoff with a couple of good races here and there, a win, and then a bad race. Atlanta comes to mind, of course, where he had no success. Let's also look at Christopher Bell. He just really needs to score some stage points in stage 1, and he's advanced. He's secure. I see him going all out in qualifying, potentially pole, and just try to win that first stage. Because once he gets that first stage win at plus 67, He is advanced. He is locked into the round of 8. He could take it easy in the second stage and then do what he needs to do to try to get a win in the third stage. Christopher Bell, potentially a good driver to go out there and get the win in the ROVAL. But now let's talk about some of the drivers that are not in the playoffs. AJ Allmendinger, he has won here before. He has the most wins out of any driver when you compare the Xfinity Series and the Cup Series. He has potential to get the win. But I think it's a little bit less because his old favorite part of the track from turn 5 to turn 7, that is gone now. You have now this new track layout. Will he adapt to it just as well or better than the other drivers? Potentially. And he'll still be a favorite to win. The Xfinity Series race is really going to highlight how AJ Allmendinger handles this race, but you got to look at his teammate, Shane Van Gisbergen. Shane Van Gisbergen is in the field for the Cup Series race. He's going to have that advantage in the Xfinity Series race today. My opinion is Shane Van Gisbergen wins the Xfinity race. He is the heavy favorite for the ROVAL race. Especially with the new layout, that's going to equalize the field a little bit more, where if we had the same layout as in the past, I think Shane Van Gisbergen still could be a favorite, but I don't think he would be the absolute favorite. With this new layout, if he wins tomorrow, I think you have to put him at the absolute favorite because he's going to have more lap time than any of the Cup Series drivers. Shane Van Gisbergen could be a big win at the ROVAL, and this could be a huge day for Kaulig racing. And let's be honest, Kaulig racing, we haven't talked about much except what's going on, where have they been, why are they struggling, what's up with some of their business decisions. If they can have a 1-2 finish, if they can have both cars in the top 5, that is a huge statement by this team that they're starting to rebound, get things back together because they really need it. This year, it's just been something they need to forget about. They have to focus on next year, going back to trophy hunting. This swapping the driver out almost every other weekend is not working out. Daniel Hemrick has not worked out. You just got to really focus on, okay, let's build up for next year. Let's get 2 top 5 finishes, hopefully a 1-2 finish. That'll be a huge statement for Kaulig racing. And for the playoff drivers in general, let's talk about the ones below the cut line, starting with Austin Cindric at -32. Austin Cindric is good at the road courses. He needs to go out there and essentially, in my opinion, get the win. Yeah, he could score 20 stage points, but he'll still be at -12. And that's assuming the other drivers do not score points ahead of him. He is in a must-win situation. Could he do it? Potentially. He just has to be good at qualifying. He has to be good throughout the race. He was showing that at Talladega. He was the favorite to win, I would say, halfway through the race. If Austin Cindric could get the win, that would be a huge statement. But in my opinion, I don't see that happening. I think Austin Cindric is going to be done for, and unfortunately the same for Chase Briscoe. What a run. He's good at the road courses, but I just do not think with the caliber competition we're going to have with Christopher Bell, Kyle Larson, Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, they're all going to score stage points. Chase Elliott is going to score stage points. The only way you're going to get in is if Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick were to both crash on lap 1, finish very much back of the pack, and you were to go out there, score 2 stage wins, and a high top 5 finish. I just don't see that in the cards for Chase Briscoe. He is done, in my opinion, after this race. Daniel Suarez, the math is there. 2 stage wins, you're going to be at least out of the hole. But you need 2 stage wins. You're not going to do that with the competition I mentioned earlier. Trackhouse racing has not been delivering the kind of equipment and kind of cars Daniel Suarez needs to win these races in the playoffs. I just think it's going to be game over, unfortunately, for Daniel Suarez. The only way he's going to get in is if Joey Logano and Chase Elliott have bad luck. And Joey Logano, I think he has the potential to get in. He could win. He could score the stage points, and then he could survive. And in my opinion, if it comes down to the points battle between Logano, Elliott, or Reddick, or all 3 of them, I give the upper hand on Logano. He's a 2-time champion. He has, I think, the more confidence compared to Tyler Reddick, who has not made it to a championship round, compared to Chase Elliott, which a lot of people have been starting to wonder, where is he lately? Joey Logano, if you're in a tight points battle with Chase Elliott and Tyler Reddick for that final transfer spot, you have the upper hand, in my opinion, over Chase Elliott. Chase Elliott needs to have a good day. Tyler Reddick, who's just been almost seems asleep during these playoffs. He won the regular season championship. He put in that valiant effort in the Southern 500. And then it just seems like all the energy has been gone since then from that team. Kansas was a big nothing. And that was a track everybody anticipated them to do well. You look at what happened at Talladega, the big one claimed him. That could have been anybody, but it was just tough break for Tyler Reddick. Blaney, Bowman, in my opinion, just have smart, solid days. Stay in the top 10 if you can. You're advancing into the next round. Don't crash out. Denny Hamlin, I think, is in a really good spot at plus 30. Just do not crash out. Stage points are give and take. Be great to have them, but I wouldn't put a huge priority on. The bigger priority for Denny Hamlin, just finish the race. Then Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, they should easily be able to advance. And William Byron has advanced. He's secured a spot, but based on points, because once again, Kansas, Ross Chastain won. Talladega, another non-playoff driver won. Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Could we see a third consecutive non-playoff driver from Chevrolet take the win? I'm really curious about it because here's the thing. When you look at the Chevrolet drivers, if Dan Suarez is eliminated after this round, the only Chevrolet drivers in the playoffs are Hendrick Chevrolets. But yet you have so many other Chevrolets not in the playoffs. And in the case of Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Ross Chastain, they have won playoff races. This is why the regular season is so important. If Ross Chastain had a better few race results here and there and got in on points, he would have been with William Byron in the next round. Chevrolet would have more drivers. Ricky Stenhouse, let's be honest, with that 4017, he could only win at the super speedways. They did not get that job done. I think you're going to be seeing a lot going on in this race, and overall, I think it's going to be a fun race to watch. You cannot miss it. The Bank of America ROVAL race at Charlotte Motor Speedways. Let's get down to pick a winner. Comment with the chat room who you're going to think is win all the races, and we'll also throw in there IMSA, Petit Le Mans, their season finale. Comment with who's going to be the overall winner. I'm going to start with the big race, Bathurst 1000. As I mentioned, the top drivers, I'm going with Chaz Mostert to get the win. I think he's going to not exactly be a surprise upset winner. He has won here before. He has shown speed here. Just because he didn't show it in qualifying doesn't mean he's out of it. I think he's going to have a good race. I think he is going to make the less amount of mistakes compared to some of the drivers, such as Will Brown. I think Will Brown, there might be some of that pressure to go out there, get a win. It doesn't work out. Brock Feeney, Jamie Whincup, those two are really good. That's going to be Chaz Mostert and Lee Halsworth's biggest competition. So give me Chaz Mostert, Lee Halsworth, and the number 25 Mobil 1 Ford to get the win. The ROVAL race. Everyone's calling this the wild card race. I'm going to go with the driver that I have never, surprisingly, pick a winner in the Cup Series. I should have, especially in Chicago last year, Shane Van Gisbergen. SVG is going to get this win, I think. He is going to be one of the favorites to beat. He's going to make a third consecutive week a Chevrolet non-playoff driver wins. In my opinion, too, Shane Van Gisbergen put him in there for the pick a winner for the Xfinity Series, which we don't keep score of. But I think he's going to sweep the weekend. Shane Van Gisbergen. And now, IMSA Petit Le Mans. I'm going to go with the number 7 Penske Porsche. I think they're going to get the job done. They just seem like they're on another level if they do everything right. If they make a mistake, that seems to be the only reason why they don't win more frequently. With that said, big thank you again, Colin Shaw, Mark Robin, David Matthew, for investing in the Grid Network each and every month. Link in the video description. You can also do Buy Me a Coffee or YouTube Super Chat. We'll thank you on the air when we see the Super Chat come in. If we don't see it, you do it when we're not live. We'll thank you the next time we go on the air right here on the Grid Network. And be sure to follow us on social media at Grid Network TV across TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, X, formerly Twitter, and Threads. And of course, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you don't miss any of our programs. Tomorrow, Grid Live Wrap-Up. Monday, Grid Encore. Wednesday, Grid Tonight. And of course, we'll do this all over again next race weekend. We want to give a special get well soon, Josh. We're thinking of you, buddy, and we hoping you enjoyed today's program. We'll see you next time, and enjoy the races.